Hello and welcome to Some of My Friends Read Comics. We've got Chris.
One man war on crime.
We got Vince.
You want to get nuts? Let's get some nuts.
What? And I'm Kia. Hello. We're reading Batman today. Vince, what did the nuts have anything to do with it? I don't remember.
Batman 1989 quote.
Yeah.
It's with Michael Keaton.
Says
it to the Joker. Okay. And then in one of the 60s animated films that just got made last year, Adam West also says that when he becomes an evil Batman. It's fucking weird.
That sounds awesome.
All right, great. So yeah, we are reading. It's our 3rd anniversary show. Hooray! Yay!
Wow. I thought it'd be really cute, for our 1-year anniversary to do Batman Year 1, and then here we are at Year 3.
Year 3, doing. Why are we still doing this? This is Batman Year 3. Before we get into this, we've got 3 years under our belt. Let's reflect a little bit, right? For this past year, what have been some of your favorite comics that we've read? Vince, you want to go first?
Sure. So I think straight up, my favorite comic that we read this entire past year was Fantastic Four Annual number 3, the Fantastic Four Wedding. Yeah.
Okay.
It's perfect. It was perfect. It was the most bonkers, gonzo book that we read this entire time. So I'll say that. But the book that has stuck with me the most, and I don't even know if I enjoyed it the most, but it stuck with me the most, is Supreme. And we dedicated 2 episodes to it, but it was just a really cool history of Superman and comics and just the kind of idea of reboots. And it was just really, really exceptionally well done, and I really liked it.
Very good. Chris, how about you?
I was about to say Supreme. I stand by that choice as being awesome. But in the interest of picking something else, and also that was my pick, so I feel like it's a little self-serving. And I will also contest Vince saying that Fantastic Four Annual was the most bonkers thing we read, because I will remind him that we read about a teenage president who fought vampires. An amazing comic called Prez. But I will say that the comic that was new to me that stuck with me the most was Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which I had read some of it already, but it's just a really good new book, relatively new. And it's just a really good stuff that's being made, today, that I was just glad that I was plugged into.
Very good, very good. I feel like
series, yeah. Kia, that was a great recommendation.
Well, we've been I kind of vetoed that for myself because I think that was my pick and I'd read it before this, and I kind of vetoed a few things like Gotham Central that I had read before. I don't remember what else, but I think Supreme was a really close second for me, but I ended up going with the Thor that we read by Walt Simonson.
Yeah, that was good.
And Beta Ray Bill and all that. I don't know. I just really kind of enjoyed that adventure-y stuff that was going on there, and everything about it was just really nice. I feel like that's the one that has stuck with me the longest. I find myself thinking about Beta Ray Bill a lot. Oh, Beta Ray Bill, how I miss you. Anyways, but yeah, we did read some pretty good stuff as well as some pretty bad stuff. Boy, there's just no telling. Batman Year 3, I think this had some moments. This had some highlights.
I think it's better than Batman Year 2, though.
I don't remember Batman Year 2. What happened in that? Is that the one that's basically just Mask of the Phantasm?
Yeah.
Yeah, but stupid.
Okay. It's stupid. Right.
Except he takes the Joe Chill's gun and is like, only this can defeat the executioner or whatever that guy's name was. And he's like, why would you think that's true?
Yeah, so we should get into the history of this thing. But we read Batman Year 1 forever ago by Frank Miller. That was what, 1987? 7? Okay, great. And then, that's a pretty important, iconic, set in stone, the definitive origin of Batman, post-Crisis. Oh, by the way, speaking of Crisis, stick around for the end of the show. We got a special Crisis announcement. Oh, it's going to be fun. Anyways, so, post-Crisis, setting up the confirmed, whatever, this is the canon origin of Batman. Year 2 was just, okay, let's capitalize on the success of Year 1 by telling a shitty story about something else.
I think was DC just publishing random out of continuity Batman stories just in their book and thought fuck it, we'll just call this Batman Year 2? Because it was only a couple
I
months
think
after Year 1.
it really, yeah, they must have been. Like, this is what's next. Okay, let's just make this a flashback, and it's a Year 2 story now. Great.
I mean, I think it came out of a desire of when Crisis happened. They're like, well, Batman has been a crime fighter for like, I don't know, 8 or 9 years. And that really flattens the world in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like, oh, this is going to have lots of exciting new opportunities. And then they very quickly realize, like, nah, not really.
Yeah. Batman Year 3 is a completely different beast entirely. Batman Year 3 is written by Marv Wolfman with art by Pat Broderick, which kind of, it's very cartoony, isn't it? Like, it kind of looks like a comic strip in ways, but like a nicely drawn comic strip, but it's very, like, do you understand what I'm, like,
yeah, it's very clean. It's very clean.
Yeah.
It's cleanly drawn.
Yeah.
The coloring is, 1989, so there's not a lot of like nuance or depth to the coloring. And coming off of Year 1 with Mazzucchelli's art, which is kind of like painted and kind of like just doesn't look
dark,
like, it doesn't look like a
serious.
traditional comic.
Yeah.
Which is kind of part of its appeal. To then Year 3 just looks like a normal Batman comic is kind of disappointing.
It is. And Marv Wolfman, he's been around forever. He wrote everything important over at DC. He wrote
New Teen
Titans, which we really liked.
Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah. Stick around at the end of the show for a special announcement about Crisis. Did I already say that? I must have. So Marv Wolfman wrote this, and I kind of am thinking it might have been served better by not calling this thing Batman Year 3, because it is set in like the current timeline as of 1989, where the second Robin, Jason Todd, has just died. And Batman's kind of upset about it.
Killed in a story by Jim Starlin with art by Mike Mignola.
Oh, we got to read that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. How have
Yeah, we will.
We will.
Tune in next January for our Death Month again.
That's right. Hey, that'll be fun. But during this time period, the guy who killed the first Robin's parents, Zuko, I always want to call him Danny Zuko, even though it's not. Zuko is like, I don't know, some mob guy, and the circus wouldn't pay him protection money, so he like cuts Robin's parents' ropes and they fall to their death, all that sort of stuff. That's what issue 1 is all about. It's like this flashback of watching Robin, like he's remembering it. He's Nightwing now, though, right? Dick Grayson. Mm-hmm. And he's remembering all this. And
it's kind of hard to tell, though, because the thing is called Batman Year 3. And
right.
Batman Year 1, Batman Year 1 trains you to think, hey,
this whole thing is going to be a flashback, right?
Yeah, and it's going to be like a couple months, and and it's going to be in flashback. The whole thing will be. And Year 2 is just like a story in the past, and then Year 3, like your first signal that something is not right is that Jim Gordon looks super old. So you're like, man, Jim Gordon has aged a fucking lot in 2 years. And then you're like,
and that we have Nightwing already.
And you have Nightwing, and like Jason died, and you're like, no, this can't.
Did I miss something?
He couldn't have done this in 3 fucking years. Like that's a lot. That's a lot. And Dick Grayson's talking about like, man, I quit 2 years ago when I was just a kid, and I'm like, well, then when were you Robin? And then it's like flashback time, but the art isn't different. The art isn't different. Batman looks the exact same 10 years ago or whenever this was.
The flashbacks also have almost zero focus on Batman. Like, this is just like Robin's origin story. And like, okay, that's great. It makes sense. Why is this thing called Batman Year 3 though? Because it is not detailing Batman's third year at all, and really just that first issue is the flashback. Everything after that just goes and tells the story in the present. Oh man, it's.
There are some more flashbacks, but yeah,
you're right.
Yeah, Broderick. I don't hate his art or anything, but like in that flashback, there's that scene where they're at the circus, and we've seen it in a million movies and TV shows, but it's like, oh, the Flying Graysons. And we also see like Tim Drake when he's like 8 years old, which they name the character, and it's like, we don't know who this is.
Oh yeah, it's the first appearance of the third Robin, of Tim Drake, even before he is like scheduled to become Robin, I guess, which is a little weird but kind of cool.
Yeah, he's like 7 years old. So it's like, what?
What? Who is this kid?
But yeah, then there's the scene where it's the Graysons and they're performing, and you see Bruce Wayne and you see Tim Drake's dad, and I feel like you see somebody else, and you're just like, that's all the same guy.
His faces all look very similar and incredibly inconsistent at the same time. I think Zuko at one point looked like Arcade, and then on the next panel he looked like Norman Osborn, and then on the next panel he looked like Pip the Troll, which I realize are all Marvel characters, but it doesn't matter because they entered this comic book.
Yeah, I don't know if it's that the Batman animated series has taught artists how to cheat, like how to draw Robin differently in like a very small amount of lines. But it's like he made Nightwing look like a Batman. And I'm like, I feel like these characters canonically don't look alike.
Yeah, there's a lot of weirdness going on. It is worth mentioning, you brought up Batman, the animated series. They did a pretty good adaptation of this whole storyline into a two-parter, kind of basically their version of Robin's origin, which I had seen recently, kind of just a few months ago. And it ended up working pretty well as sort of like a parallel storyline going between the present and the past. I really liked it. Didn't like this so much, though.
Yeah, I think if I had been called Robin's origin, I would be a little happier. Like putting the Batman year expectation on it makes me think that it's going to be like year one, which is unfair because that's one of my favorite comics of all time.
Well, but they put that on themselves though by putting that on there. I agree. If I hadn't got in with this expectation and I was kind of just reading a regular Batman story, knowing that it would be sent in modern continuity and it's about the guy who killed Robin's parents, sure, I'd be more into it. But yeah, that's not what I signed up for. What's going on? There's very little of I don't know, just nothing super important feels like it's happening. At the end of the first issue, some building explodes, and I really just don't understand what it is or why. I guess
is that the building that's Gotham's third largest cocaine cutting operation?
Is that what that is?
That's what Batman describes it as. There's two larger cocaine cutting operations somewhere in Gotham that he doesn't mention.
Wow.
Good job, Batman. Why don't you go get these places if you know where they are? Man. But no, there's like a bunch of mob bosses are getting killed, and they're trying to figure out who's doing it, right?
Yeah, it's one a week, and then later Batman rolls up and is like, I'd rather you mob bosses don't get killed off one a week, and I'd rather help you against this vigilante than... And I'm like, Batman, no you wouldn't. No you wouldn't.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that feel like they're acting a little bit out of character. Because... Well, Alfred in particular, throughout this whole thing, I don't know if it's just the facial expressions, the way he's drawn, but he's constantly super surprised by things. And he also, I don't know what this had to do with the rest of the story at all, but as Zuko is being let out of prison, I think this is in the third issue, whatever. Before that happens, Alfred goes to him in prison and says, listen, man, I want you to leave town. I will pay you whatever it takes for you to just leave so that Batman and Nightwing don't get all mixed up with you again or something. I don't understand any of this. Can one of you please explain why this was happening and why it was important? And also, what the fuck, Alfred? What are you doing?
I don't think it's that complicated, is it?
It seems so out of character for him. Like, that's Batman's business. Like, he'll deal with the criminals. You don't need to go, like, spending money out of your personal bank account to... It did just rub me the wrong way. It didn't make any sense to me.
It's weird for me when Alfred has agency.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Like, Alfred is just supposed to be, oh, Master Bruce, you really should sleep. Or just a sounding board to be like, Alfred, I'm thinking about these things, and it'd be crazy if I just talk to myself. And it's weird for a plot. Yes, Master Bruce. And I'm so confused when Alfred's like, I'm going to do this. Or I'm going to carry a gun and I'm going to fret about this. Or I'm sick. And I'm like, Alfred, I don't care about you that much. I don't. It actually is like, there's a current Batman book, All-Star Batman, written by Scott Snyder, who I like, art by John Romita Jr., who I don't like. And there's Two-Face puts a bounty on killing Batman. And Alfred joins in on it to try to kill Batman. And I'm like, nope. Not reading this anymore. Yep. The second it was revealed that Alfred was trying to kill Batman, I closed the book. I'm like, fuck this. I'm not reading any more
I'm
of this.
kind of into that. That sounds like a fun story. I might read that. Alfred's trying to kill Bat. Like, that sounds good to me.
Shooting
Alfred
like
trying to
bat
kill
plane
Batman.
rockets at him, like with like GPS and stuff. I'm like, nope.
Like, holy shit! You want to talk about telling good stories? Like, what is the biggest danger to our hero? Well, it would be his personal butler. That'd be fun, right? That sounds like a great story to me.
I mean, I feel like the will is going to take care of you, Alfred. You don't need to kill Batman.
That's a good motive, though. The will's going to take care of him, right? All right, we should get back to this book, even though it's less interesting than what we're talking about.
I do want to mention, reading this issue when the Flying Graysons come out and they're just wearing Robin costumes. I'm like, that can't be right.
Well, because
isn't that how they did it in the movie as well?
Well, in Forever they wore the Flying Graysons costumes, but Robin did not wear a Flying Graysons costume when he was Robin, when Chris O'Donnell.
Oh, right. Exactly. So it's very strange that he is wearing his old parents' costumes as a crime fighter. Also, people would recognize him.
Exactly. Like, you'd be like, hey, that orphan from like 3 months ago, he's exactly the same age as Robin.
And he just got adopted by a rich dude. Huh.
This is weird. Bruce Wayne must know Batman.
Yeah.
A rich dude who never met him, as we learn in issue 2.
Yeah, but so I looked it up. I looked up the issue. I think it's issue 37 or 38 of Batman, which is Robin's first appearance. Mm-hmm. And it's what Vince has talked about in the past, where the writing economy is so impressive because in the first panel is literally Dick Grayson overhearing Tony Zuko being like, "You better pay up." And then, like, the second page is his parents dying.
Yeah.
That's
what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. We don't care about that stuff.
And then, like, the third page is Batman's like, "You're a witness. You have to come with me." And he's like, "Why don't I go to the police?" It's like, "Zuko is too well connected. You would die." Which is so heavy for being, like, a children's comic book in, like, 1939.
But that's the beautiful thing is because they're like, we need to make Batman more relatable to the kids, so we'll murder this kid's parents, and that's why he'll get a kid in the book. That makes sense. Let's do it. Yeah. Burn through it in 3 pages. Let's get to this kid.
Man.
Yeah, well, and Batman is like, "You will die, kid, if not for me."
Batman also adopts him, or like makes him his ward, expressly to make him a superhero. Like, instantly gets him home, and he says, "Listen, man, I got something to show you. You're going to be my Robin."
Well, Robin first rolls in, or Dick Grayson first rolls into the house, and he's like, "Wow, Mr. Wayne must be really cool." And I'm like, how the fuck did you get adopted without ever meeting Bruce Wayne? Like,
I don't know. And like, one thing I really liked about the animated series adaptation of this is that Bruce Wayne adopts him because he just feels bad for him, like, genuinely. But he's also not good at being a dad at all. And so he's kind of neglecting him, and he's going around doing his other thing until he realizes, no, wait, we have the same pain. We should share it the same way. Like, it's a great moment of, like, realization and bonding, and sort of makes Batman and Robin make a lot more sense for me. And
it's a good expression of Batman's character in that TV show, because he's like, "Oh, I'm not neglecting Dick. I'm trying to hunt down his parents' killer. This is a good thing I'm doing." And then he has to kind of realize, like, actually, he doesn't really get that. It seems like I'm being shitty.
Yeah.
That Batman's, the way he shows that he cares about people is not to, like, actually express emotion to them. It's like, when I bring your killer to justice, that'll show how much I care.
And there's a lot of that in this book as well, where Jason Todd has just died. Danny Zuko is being released from prison to go see Sandy.
Whoa, Sandy! I've been released!
And Batman is like, okay, I have to, go do this. I have to get this guy so that at least I can save one of my Robins, or, whatever. They don't ever actually give us any of his internal monologue. It really did not feel like a Batman book.
There's like three fucking things you need to do with a Batman yearbook. Dueling narration, with one of them having cursive handwriting. It's really not fucking difficult. And also, like, I should have said this at the beginning. It did not bode well when year 3 was a numeral and not spelled out like THREE. like the previous two
I
books, and that
yeah.
shit makes me so
Makes a
fucking mad.
difference.
Like,
Oh, consistency. I'm sorry, Vince. No consistency.
makes
I,
me.
w- I had a really hard time in general trying to identify who was narrating a lot of sections. There was one point, I think it was also in issue 3, where the narration switches from, I think, Alfred to Nightwing before we've seen Nightwing, and there's nothing really particularly specific in it. Yeah.
Because the first issue talks about the Batman, like in third person narration. And that's something that also pisses me off with writers. Like, if you're writing an arc, keep the narration consistent. Don't like jump like narration styles in between each issue like that.
Yeah, this whole thing felt, not one issue felt like it was written by the same writer, I could say. It was all over the place. Anyways, what was I talking about before that? Boy, I don't know. Weird stuff. Couldn't tell what was going on here. Zuko's coming out of jail. Batman says, I'm going to protect him. That's another reason there wasn't a lot of general agency in this for me, because the more interesting story here, I think, is Nightwing kind of dealing with the killer of his parents and coming to terms with a lot of stuff. Like, that's an interesting thing to talk about. But really, he's just like, oh, geez, Bruce is acting weird. He's, like, really mad, and he's not being himself. While Bruce is kind of going out hunting, killing random mobsters, nothing feels connected, and nothing feels important. Yeah.
Batman in Grief is interesting.
It is interesting. I wanted to see more of it. I wanted to see any of Batman's internal monologue.
I disagree. I think that you are dead wrong.
Okay.
Oh,
all right.
hot takes in year 3. Whoa.
No, I just think that just giving us Batman's narration wouldn't help. I actually like that it's Robin, or Nightwing or whatever, coming in and being like, Batman seems wrong, and I don't know how to help him. And like, I think that's an interesting story point, and I think it would kind of. I don't think the story is super effective at what it's trying to do, but I think it would undercut what it's trying to do if Batman was like, "I'm very sad about Jason."
Okay,
like
fair.
I don't think. I mean, it's like, yeah, we see that, and I guess you also have to keep in mind this is they're at least pretending that teenagers and children are going to read books like this. This is not exclusively for adults yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like there is a little bit of nuance in the fact that it's like, oh, just because my dad is mean to me doesn't mean he hates me. Like there's a little bit of that with Batman, of being like an angry dad who is unable to show his affection for Dick. But the fact that, and you see it in the story, what I like about the story is that Dick is able to he's like, Batman's not himself, but I'm going to do all the things that he taught me to do, and I'm going to like figure out who the bad guy is, and I'm going to solve this mystery. And to skip to the end, Batman's like, wow, you're a great detective, and you're becoming a good guy too. And it's just like, yeah, it's like that's about as close as Batman can come to being like, I love you.
Yeah, and that's where like Nightwing is like really interesting to me, and like he's like when Nightwing's written well, which he's not often. He's one of the more interesting characters in the Marvel universe, or not the Marvel, in the DC universe, as in comics, because he does have this father figure that he has a beef with, and Batman's supposed to be like, perfect, but he has like legitimate things that like where he is more right than Batman. And he's also like disappointed in his father figure, but also wants to live up to his father figure. And so I think that aspect of the story could be really well done. The name Batman Year 3 throws me off. Like that already puts me on a bad foot. And then the Zuko story is also an interesting story, but I don't think they need to be the same story. Also.
Yeah, you didn't need to be Zuko in the past and Zuko in the present. Like you could remember Zuko.
I mean, again, I kind of disagree, because I really because as you're reading it, you've got these two threads, and you're like, oh, of course these are connected. And Zuko is the bad guy, and you it's not a surprise to anybody that's read comics. But then we haven't gotten to it. The end of the third issue, Batman's like, as soon as Zuko gets out of here, I'm gonna arrest him, because we've got all this evidence that he's behind all this. And so Zuko gets out of the jail and is immediately shot with a missile from a helicopter.
Yeah, that's cool. That is a great final page. I do enjoy that a lot.
It really is. It's so fast, and it's just like from this helicopter, and like, what the fuck? How did this guy die? Like crazy. He was so happy too. he looked like JFK coming out of that building.
Yeah, because he was gonna take over all the mafia or the crime families.
That third biggest, drug packing whatever.
Because he had this book that had dirt on everybody in the city. Just one book.
That's right. That's the big thing. He has a ledger, and he's written down all of it. Anyways, this guy dies, and so Nightwing is, of course, mad at Batman. Like, oh my God, how could you do this? And Batman says, hey, look, I know I've been acting crazy, but murder? Come on, man. And Nightwing says, oh yeah, all right.
Go get Joe Chill's gun while we're at it. So this is actually very consistent characterization between year 2 and 3, if I'm not mistaken. So,
Mm-hmm. I will say I agree with a lot of what was said earlier, but Chris, you said that they did not expect adults to be reading this, and I disagree, because there is a shower scene in issue 4 where there are 3 different men hiding in a shower. Two men hiding in a shower. One of them, the man, there is a man taking a shower. I don't know what is going on, who this guy is, why we are sneaking up on men in the shower, but Nightwing sneaks up on a dude.
If this was a book made by DC Comics between 2005 and 2015, it would be a lady in the shower. Come on now.
Oh, okay, but as it stands, we have an old white man.
It would be one of those things where you have like double cleavage somehow.
Somehow. Who is this guy, and why is Nightwing sneaking up on him while he is in the shower?
He is Zuko's old, his former associate, and Batman had interrogated him earlier and found out he's like, oh, like Zuko would always laugh that he left his, the end is the beginning or whatever it was that he would say, and then the end is the beginning is the end, and then Nightwing comes over and he's like, really, 2 of you? Like, can't you just compare notes? And he's like, I don't talk to Batman anymore. And so he tells him that, and then Nightwing leaves, and then the lawyer, right? Because it's the lawyer's the bad guy.
Is that who that was? I got really lost in this story around issue 3 or 4 because everything started to get weird for me.
Yeah, the lawyer who was being blackmailed is like, well, I heard you talking, so I'm going to have to kill you now.
Yeah, he's like hiding behind the shower door. Also, like, everyone is hiding in the shower.
I thought he was in the hallway.
I don't know. Vince, what were you going to say?
I definitely finished reading issue 4 last night, went to the bathroom, and then was like washing my hands and was like, what happened in issue 4?
Yeah. I know.
I'm like, Zuko died in issue 3, right? Yeah. What happened in issue 4?
So here's how I remember it. They discovered that Zuko also used to be an orphan at the same place that
Dick Grayson was briefly. There's a lot of nuns, by the way, in the most recent Bat books that we've read recently. There's a lot of nuns.
But we learned that Zuko was also an orphan there, and he hid his ledger at the orphanage because that was like his happy place. Mm-hmm. And like everyone goes to the orphanage at the same time to get this thing back. And this right-hand man, whoever he was, old white man in the shower, we'll call him. He is there, and he's at the top of this bell tower, and takes a tumble in the middle of a scuffle between Nightwing and Batmuffle. And they go fall over, and so does the ledger, and everything is gone. And that's it. I think that's what happened. Is that right?
It's a real Vertigo where Batman opens the bell tower and the guy's like, whoa, whoa, and falls over the top, which is, spoiler alert for the film Vertigo, the ending of that movie.
Also, spoiler alert in this comic, because the end of this issue with the church tower is on the cover, except backwards. It's like Nightwing hanging off from the tower with this shitty old man. The cover does not happen in this story at all, by the way. The old man is like trying to hit him with a can to knock him off the tower with a nun looking on, looking like, oh no. And I wish some of this would happen because it looks pretty cool. But yeah,
the covers are really good.
Yeah, George Perez's art makes me sad that I was like, why can't he draw all of this?
Mm-hmm. And then I flip back to the last page of this issue, and it's Bruce Wayne kind of sitting zen in front of Dick Grayson's parents' graves. doing his like I don't know.
Well, that's Dick talking to his parents, not Bruce Wayne.
Oh, you're right. Okay, sorry. That makes more sense. I was gonna say this guy looks a little young to be like Bruce Wayne, but all right, cool. Looks a little old to be Dick Grayson. I don't know.
It's true. They all kind of look the same.
They all kind of look the same. And there's a little plug there. Next issue, the most startling new event in the life of Batman. I looked this up. Can you guys guess what it was?
What? Is it Tim Drake?
It was a character named Orca.
Wow, the killer whale.
The most exciting new event in the life of Batman. Startling, even.
I'm gonna write Batman Year 4 and introduce Ace the Bat Hound. We need his origin.
Oh shit,
that'll be good. Is he in the comics? I think he has been at some point. Right?
Yeah, I think Grant Morrison probably brought him back.
Oh, of course. Fucking sure he did.
If anyone would. Morrison, yeah.
If anybody ever wore a bat cowl ever, they were in Grant Morrison's run. In some capacity.
So yeah, that was Batman Year 3. I hated it. I hate the fact that we read this. I'm glad there is no Batman Year 4 so that we don't have to do this shit next year for the anniversary.
But guess what? For our 100th episode, guess what we're doing?
What are we doing?
Batman Year 100.
All right, that's good. I'm excited about that. That's Paul Pope, right?
Yeah, that one should be good.
I've read that, and I really love it. I love Paul Pope. All right, okay. I'm into that.
Okay, cool.
All right. Good. I'm glad. Oh, that's like... Wait, is that going to be right around the same time as our...
4th anniversary? Yeah.
Yeah, just about. All right.
Well, we may have to take a hiatus because my wife is pregnant. We probably will.
Okay, speaking about that.
God, quit bragging, Vince.
Yeah,
come on, man. Yeah.
I did so much work. No, I didn't. She's doing a lot of work. She's really being a real great trooper.
Good for her. But, speaking of which, we are going to probably have to figure out what's going on. And so we're going to start playing around with making some new changes to the format of the show. Why not? We're in our 3rd year. Best time to figure out a format, right? And
Year 4 format.
Your format. Oh my God! Have you read Batman Year Format? It is so good. It's all about tabs. Anyways, so next issue for our regular sort of thing, we are doing Annihilation Conquest. Very excited about that. Yeah. We read Annihilation at some point during this past year.
Episode 64, if you want to catch up to remember what happened in Annihilation, because there was a lot that happened, and that's how I'm like rebriefing myself before I read Conquest. Because I'm not reading.
Yeah, was Conquest like a direct sequel? I guess.
So the way that Annihilation was published, the first one was published around the same time as Civil War, but it was in the cosmic universe, which hadn't really been visited much in Marvel up to for a while before that. And it had, I think, 4 miniseries, a prologue, and then a 6-issue full series. Conquest similarly did the exact same thing, where it had a prologue, which I actually read a couple days ago. It's pretty good. Has Star-Lord, and then 4 miniseries about Wraith, Quasar, Star-Lord, and Nova. And then it has a 6-issue miniseries where actually I think the Guardians of the Galaxy as we know it formed, where actually Star-Lord joins up with Mantis and not Drax or Gamora, but definitely Rocket Raccoon and Groot. I don't know if they were created for this or this is their like first main appearance in a long time. But the Guardians spin out of
Groot's first appearance was in 1962.
Oh, really? Groot is that old? Groot is older than Spider-Man?
Yeah,
yes
he's a
and
monster of the
no.
week.
Whoa.
Yeah, he was like a total monster of the week, but it was more like a race of monsters that he. Well,
There's
maybe
more
we should
Groots?
read that one. There is like a whole planet of Groots, but this is also before Marvel continuity in a way.
Okay,
yeah, but like Fin Fang Boom was from that era.
Exactly.
Nice. So
you know what? I think we should read this in addition to Annihilation Conquest, just for the fun of it. Tales to Astonish number 13 from 1960. Okay. All right, we're gonna do that as well. It's a short, quick little story about a bunch of dumb trees that come to invade the Earth or some shit.
Tales to Astonish number 13. Let me put that on the list.
Okay. How dare you call those trees dumb? They deserve to enslave us all.
So, but Conquest is another spacey adventure. I don't know exactly what happens in the main Conquest. I thought Ultron shows up, but I may be wrong. As the main villain, but it's our big thing right before Avengers Avengers Infinity War comes out, because we've already done a ton of Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity Gauntlet, Thanos Quest, Warlock, Silver Surfer, Death of Captain Marvel. Thanos has been all over this show, so just go check out our past episodes of that.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Great. Also, so we want to really take some time and do some more of these like big event comics, but some of them are too big for us to be able to do. So starting the issue after that, we are going to the episode after that, we are going to start reading Crisis on Infinite Earths, because it's kind of embarrassing that I've never read it. Have you guys read it before?
No, I definitely have not.
No.
Oh, Chris, you have not? Okay, great.
No, I don't like DC Comics, Kia.
Well, everybody in DC dies in this book, so you should be happy.
Yeah.
I am happy.
But
with George Perez art.
I also like that.
Would be great. But because it's like a 12-issue, like super dense series, we're going to do like one issue at a time, but not yet. We'll talk more about that at the end of the next issue. We'll get into it, maybe a little bit of history of the Crisis and all that. But yeah, look out for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, next time we're going to read Tales to Astonish number 13, the most important issue about invading extraterrestrial trees ever.
You have to read it or else you won't understand what happens in Infinity War.
Won't understand anything in the movie Infinity War. It's going to be all based on this comic. And then we're going to read Annihilation, Conquest 1 through 6. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I've been reading the prequel miniseries and stuff. It's pretty good. I'm enjoying it.
I did that. I read all the tie-ins and prequels and stuff for our last Annihilation issue. So I'm thinking I might do that again, because I did really enjoy doing that. Yeah, I'm into it. See what happens.
Didn't read all of those. I think I picked like 2 at the time, where I was like, I'll check out these 2 prequels. I never read Drax's or Wraith's, I think. I have no idea what happens in those.
Yeah, so it's Wraith this time, Girl Quasar, because I think Quasar...
I did read that. That was good.
Oh, it was? That's, I think that might be by Abnett and Lanning. Star-Lord's by Keith Giffen, who wrote the original Annihilation but didn't write the new one. Or didn't write Conquest. I'm excited, though. I'm excited. And then Nova was just part of the regular Nova series at the time.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I was just looking online. Y'all ever been to Groot.com? It's a Chicago waste management company. Trash removal and dumpster removal. Not what you would expect.
I would love a whole webpage that just said, I am Groot, I am Groot, I am Groot. Like huge articles and like navigation that said, I am Groot across like the top.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, that was made like on GeoCities in like 1998.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, man.
I want it.
Vince, did you have anything else to say about Batman? I feel like I didn't say my final thoughts.
I didn't say my final thoughts.
Right. I did pass it up.
I did have a favorite moment though when Batman was training Dick Grayson at the very beginning, and he was buying new equipment. He goes, "These computers are new, and we need to learn how to use them." Was a line.
We both need to learn how to use them.
I love that. It's just so funny. I don't know why that cracked me up. Because I guess in their continuity, it's like 1981. Because it's like 10 years before the present day. Cracks my shit up. Love it. I would not read a Batman Year 4 at this point. Other than just like sheer masochism or curiosity. And this book was never collected. Never collected.
They never did like a trade or anything. Mm-mm. That's crazy.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
I mean, they made Robin Year 1, which is not even just this story, and I would say better than this.
We covered Robin. Oh, that was my final thoughts. I want to say we covered Robin Year 1 in a past episode. I think Chuck Dixon did it. It was either Marcus Martin or Javier Pulido who did the art. Their art looks
he becomes like a ninja and stuff. That was kind of cool.
That was cool. Is that Tim Drake or Dick Grayson? And then Batgirl Year 1 was really good. I liked that a lot. There's a JLA Year 1 by Mark Waid. I think the art's by Barry Kitson. It's okay. It's more about like Black Canary and like Green Arrow and like not the normal JLA. And it's actually 12 issues, so like 1 issue per month. And that's more interesting to me. But like every single other Year 1 book seems to adhere to the concept of make it take place in a goddamn year more than the Batman Year 1 sequels. It's not that hard of a concept, guys.
I blame the Long Halloween for this.
Yeah. I liked Long Halloween. Long Halloween's a better Year 2. That should have been retitled. I would have taken it.
Yeah. I don't like that book, but I also don't like that it made people think, oh, this is the way to tell this kind of story.
Yeah.
Once a month, 12 months, 12 issues.
Well,
like,
and
no.
I also like the kind of like different art style than the typical Bat book for that. Which at least like Long Halloween makes it feel like it's special and out of time. Whereas this book just, Batman, even in the flashbacks that happened 10 years earlier, looks the exact same. Like,
Yeah.
like, and that's where, and they jump between flashbacks and the present day on certain pages, on the same page, and you wouldn't be able to tell by the art. And that's frustrating to me.
Yeah,
It's a very disappointing book.
Yeah, I have said some nice things about this book, but I think it really shows, like, not to pick on Pat Broderick, but it's like it really shows that you need a storyteller. I mean, an artist is a co-writer in a lot of ways, and so like if they drop the ball, like you're just confused. You're like, wait, what's going on? Who's that guy? Like the whole book, because he's your eyes and your ears, or I mean, I guess just your eyes, but you know what I mean. He's the medium that the story's being told to you. And so if it's not clear, you're just kind of like lost. So I think there's some good ideas as far as like writing, where I can see some of the stuff Marv Wolfman does. There's a good twist. Some of this, I'm like, oh, this is okay. I kind of like some of the concept, but the execution just doesn't work. I mean, it's not very good. I will also say I will recommend the original Robin comic, Batman Detective Comics 38, which moves a lot faster. It's Robin's entire origin in one issue. Not even the whole issue. That's just the new content you got. It's like 30 pages. There's also like 2 backups.
Is that Detective, you said?
Yeah, Detective 38. And it's so much less creepy because when he becomes Batman's sidekick for that particular, like, oh, we got to stop Zuko, blah, blah, blah. He's like, well, are you going to go back to the circus or what? And he's like, no, man, I just want to hang out here. I like having adventures. And like, honestly, as silly as that is, I'm like, I actually kind of prefer that it's Robin's choice. And that he's just this, kind of happy-go-lucky guy who's just like, yeah, okay, this sounds cool. Like, I like doing acrobatics. This is a good opportunity to combine acrobatics and punching people. Yeah. And it's a lot better than Batman being like, yes, you will be my ward, which, All-Star Batman and Robin took to its completely insane.
Yeah, oh man. We should read that one of these days, because that is also Frank Miller being a real fucking weirdo.
We should do that. That'd be fun.
It would be fun.
And before we close the book on this, speaking of super old comics, Action Comics 1000 comes out the week after this episode posts.
That's a new comic.
Yeah, but 1,000 fucking comics, 1,000 issues. That's pretty crazy, right?
That is a crazy 1,000 year. Oh my god, that has not been going on for 1,000 years. But 1,000 issues is a pretty good milestone.
Marv Wolfman actually has a story in that one too. So there you go.
Oh, exciting.
With art by Kurt Swan that was recently rediscovered. So
wow,
I think so.
I was gonna say he's dead, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. So I think Bendis is
writing.
Like,
how could he be doing art for
Yeah,
this?
I think Bendis is writing the lead story, and I think it's Marv Wolfman with art by Kurt Swan for Action Comics 1000. So that should be a crazy issue.
That's pretty exciting.
It's $8. It's $8. I don't know if my comic shop will have it.
Nice,
but might be fun to go check out.
I don't think we've ever done a Kurt Swan Superman. We did do Supreme, which is like a love letter to Kurt Swan Superman. Yeah. And we also did New Teen Titans, where he does a fill-in issue.
That's right.
Where Raven's dad is drawn like a Silver Age Superman villain.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. So, and speaking of, that means, more importantly to me, Detective Comics 1000 should be coming out at some point in the next year or so. So,
yeah, that should be good.
I like Batman more than Superman, so that should be...
Sure.
Well, you and 99% of the world, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all of us and then Shaq on the other side.
Oh, Shaq versus. All right. So I think it's time to go. We kind of did all that out of order, but you're fine. You understand what's going on.
We did it out of order, just like Batman Year 3. Out of order. Doesn't make any sense when the flashbacks happen.
It doesn't matter. So join us next time. Until then, I am I'm just checking out Groot.com. It's a great website. They are a matched service. They've been around for, it says they've been here for 102 years, which is really great. They're committed to making you happy.
I am Groot.
Website. If you are in Chicago and you're looking for a good trash removal service, it says they can handle your project no matter what size. So, check them out.
Challenge accepted.
Great. Good night. Oh, sorry. They have like a sort of shifting logo thing. Exceeding expectations, because that's just how we do things. That's a pretty good tagline, I think.
God, this episode is over.
They are not a sponsor.
Yeah, we're done. Good night. Love you. Bye.
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.